Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. I am Brother Minister Cepeda. If this is your first time actually visiting the channel, please do me a courtesy and visit my website at treeoflifeoutreach.com. This is a holistic ministry that I have established to provide you guys with nourishment for your mind, for your body, and for your spirit. So do me a favor and check out the website. Do indeed, please, if you don't do anything else, read over my bio. Read over my bio and be encouraged, because that's why I start every video, just in case there's new subscribers or new viewers. And each and every time I get the opportunity to glorify my Heavenly Father, that's what I do. I really, really enjoy doing that any way that I can, with my actions, with my thoughts, my deeds, my intentions, my money, you name it. That's what I live for. And if you go to the website and read the bio, you'll understand why. So thanks for tuning in today, guys. Leave a comment, subscribe, and hit the like button, and we'll dive straight into this video. Pardon me. The topic of this video is going to be a shout out to my brothers and sisters. As a black man, I can take extreme pride and joy in being a black man, because I know that there's no race of people like us on the entire planet. Everyone hates everything about us, while they yet simultaneously love everything about us. They love our skin tones, the different variations of them. They love our hair textures. They love our culture. They love everything about us. They even went so far as to hijack our religion. Yes, Christianity is originally a black religion. Now, my teachings and the way in which I conduct my own personal life, it's not centered on religiosity, although the foundation of who I am is built upon that. It's built upon religion, primarily Christianity, but I've researched, I've practiced to some extent and to some degree or another various religions, including Islam, Hinduism, Buddhism, Confucianism, Rastafarianism, just to name a few. But again, the way I conduct myself and the way that I live my life, ultimately it transcends while simultaneously merging those different religions, because at the end of the day, at the very basic core, they're all saying the same thing, which is the way I live my life. It doesn't matter to me if you're straight or gay, Democrat or Republican, rich or poor, Muslim or Christian. None of that matters to me. All that matters to me is, are you harming others? More importantly, are you presenting any harm to me and or minds? Are you seeking to be the best human being that you can be? Are you being respectful of others and their property and persons? And are you also being respectful of Mother Earth? If you're doing these things, then nothing else matters to me. I mean, you could be an atheist for all I care. We can sit down, we can have discussion, dialogue, discourse, you name it. So I wanted to throw that in there because it's important that I do so. Oftentimes when I get in front of this camera, I have a specific message that I want to express. But when I do, the Spirit, I'm always guided by the Spirit. So in the words of the Honorable Minister Elijah Muhammad, I let the Spirit guide me, the Spirit of the one true and living divine Creator. I'm guided by that. And so if I crush your foot, all I can tell you is go find a podiatrist and get it fixed, because I'm following the Holy Spirit. That's what I'm held accountable to. So if you guys have viewed my other videos, there's kind of like a part 1 and a part 2 to this video, but it's not titled as a part 1 and a part 2. The first one is titled The Loudness of White Silence. So if you are interested in getting up to speed on everything that led to this video, then you might want to view that one. That came out first, and then the second video I did was titled Shout Out to My White Brothers and Sisters. And then today's video is going to be titled Shout Out to My Brothers and Sisters. So these are my natural brothers and sisters in terms of race and background and ethnicity and things of that nature. Obviously, not obviously to you guys, but my genealogy also includes Puerto Rican lineage. So I do have a dog over there. You guys are going to have to pardon me. I'm going to ask him to shut up. He only responds well to that loud, stern voice. So yes, today's topic of my video is shout out to my brothers and sisters. And again, to get caught up to speed on this, read the two previously referenced video. Watch the two previously referenced videos. Okay, because in those videos, I want to give you a quick crash course on what those videos entails, just a gist of them, and I'll be a little bit redundant, but not to the point to where it's overwhelming. Again, if you want the details, you have to go back and watch the videos. But in those videos, the umbrella of them both, including this one, is centered around the merging of humanity. Merging humanity and getting past our petty differences that, truth be told, left in our own natural path of development are not things that separate us at all. These are not differences between us. The only differences between us is the color of our skin and the conduct of our character. There's no race of people that's better. There's no race of people that's less. If you're better than someone in mathematics, if you're better than someone in the swimming pool, if you're better than someone when it comes to being articulate, when it comes to singing, when it comes to doing the hokey pokey, whatever. If you're better than someone, it's because you are better than someone, not because your skin makes you better than them. Obviously, we do have a such thing that where some people are superior in other things. There are people that will always be superior to me when it comes to running, artwork, and what have you. And there's certain things that I'm always going to be superior to them in. So there's always this if you were to measure or weigh it out, there will always be people who are superior in one area than others. But those are the individuals. This is not because their skin make them that way. Some people have higher moral standards than other people. So if your moral standards is higher or greater than someone else, that makes you better than them. Greater means more. It doesn't mean better than them in the sense that you get to walk around and be, braggadocious and put them down and think you have a certain sense of entitlement and things of that nature. I'm not using that term to express that meaning. I'm using that term just real specifically to say, if you're better than someone in track, there's nothing wrong with you saying that you're better than them in track. You're superior to them in track. But not because of your skin, once again, but because of your own gifts that our Heavenly Father endowed you with, and the other guy's better than you in something. Ironically, I had someone mention to me the other day, and that's my pup again, by the way. He was 12 weeks of age, so he's doing his crate training, and he only responds well to the stern voice. So I apologize in advance if I have to circle back and check him again. Like now. Shut up! And again, I expect you guys, please pardon me for that, but I refuse to allow this video to be interrupted outside of that. Like I'm not going to get up and go give him a toy or anything like that. So moving on, yes, we all have these different things that we should be proud of, because your gifts is your gifts, and when it comes to that particular area, you are superior than others, and when it comes to whatever their gifts are, then they are superior to you and me and others in that particular area. So we were talking about merging the races and coming to the truth of the fact that it's all been a lie and a myth to begin with by the less than 1% of society at the top. You heard me, less than 1%. There's actually less than 1% of those at the top of society who own over 80% of societal wealth. Now you just take one moment to think about that. Less than 1% of society owns over 80% of all the wealth in society. And this less than 1%, if it's only less than 1%, then obviously it don't care about the whites, the blacks, the reds, the browns, the yellow, the purples, the blues, or anything else. All it cares about is that less than 1%. So if it really cared about our white brothers and sisters, then they would not be suffering the way they're suffering. Their suffering is different than our suffering, and we have to clean up our own house in order for us to be able to help others clean up theirs, and in order for us to be able to unite. But that should always be our goal, that once we have done our own house cleaning, then we're obligated, and it is incumbent upon us to go out and do what we can to bring everyone together who was separated by myths, lies, old wives' tales, and you name it, just a whole bunch of sleight of hand to convince this people that they're less, to convince this people that they're more. And so we have to stand against that in order for us to have any hope of turning this thing around, because if we're all honest, we can agree very easily and very rapidly that the course in which mankind is currently treading is not sustainable. It's not sustainable. You think this so-called pandemic was the end of something, that they would like for it to be the end of something? No, they like for it to be the beginning of something. And yet in our unity and the setting aside of our what amounts to petty differences, we can control what happens next. And so this is kind of bringing you guys up to speed on the other videos. And as I wrap this kind of intro portion up to this video, one of the things that I reference continually is that there are going to be racist people who I just put to the side. They're always going to be racist. It doesn't matter how long they live. It doesn't matter if they die and come back 1,000 times. They're always going to be racist. So for those people, we're not even including into this video. They don't even enter into our scope with regards to us talking about unity, because they're always going to be racist. Conversely, there are, sadly, amongst my brothers and sisters, those of us who are going to always be counterproductive. And you in the hood, and this is a message to my brothers and sisters in the hood, which is where I come from. I come from the gutter, the slimy part of the gutter. Read my bio, and you'll better relate to that truth. So some of my brothers and sisters are just going to be counterproductive. You know what counterproductive means in the hood, so I ain't got to say no names. I ain't got to call out no specific instances or no specific conduct. We all know what it means. And if they live to be 1,000 years of age, and if they die or come back 1,000 times, no matter what, they're just going to be committed to that lifestyle. So I'm not talking about them either. I'm talking about that middle group, because again, there's an upper group of my white brothers and sisters that I'm not talking about. There's an upper group of my black brothers and sisters that I'm not talking about. The reason I'm not talking about them is because they are already in a position to where they are basically trying to do everything they can to get along, as for search of a better term. And the same thing goes for my black brothers and sisters who are on a different height, if you will, with regards to them always working, always trying to send their kids to college, always paying their bills, trying to, invest in companies, own their homes, these kind of things. These people are already are doing all they can to be the best human beings that they can be, and they're already trying to bridge this gap between the races. So we're not going to talk about them, or them. We're simply going to talk about these that are right in the middle. My white brothers and sisters, I did a video on them, so this is for my black brothers and sisters today, talking about those who are in the middle. And it's important that we know, first of all, that there's always hope. There's always hope. Now, I'm not talking about this mystical fairy tale type of hope. I'm talking about real life, living and breathing hope. I bear witness to that. Again, read my bio. I'm from the slums of the hood. I went past the gutter. I come from the slums of the hood. There were times, if I could just briefly mention, there were times when we were growing up, and I remember we didn't even have a toilet in our house. We didn't even have a toilet in the house, but here's what we did. We were so young, I guess in an effort, I never got a chance to speak to my mom about it in-depthly, but she made it clear to us that the reason that they did this was so that they could try to save, to maintain some form of us having our humanity intact, because we didn't have a toilet in the house, and we had to go out back and utilize a toilet that was just a whole toilet that was sitting in the back alley. And the alley was all gravel and grass and shedded out from no houses being next door, a bunch of weed. But it was a toilet that sat there, and we had to utilize that toilet. And ever so often they had my older brother and some of my older cousins go out and move the toilet, a few feet down, or, half a block down or whatever, because it would fill up with the urine and the feces, and they would just move it. Now, even though it wasn't flushing, that at least we kind of felt like we were using a toilet. So I've been there. Every possible thing, just about, not every single thing, but just about everything that a so-called hood, can do. Now, I won't say the word, but we know what word that fits that blank. I won't say the word because I don't know if YouTube will strike my channel. But everything that a so-called hood could do, I've done it, and I've also had it done to me. There are a few exceptions, but if you close your eyes and imagine what all the things that a hood person or hood, I ain't talking about no flower down nowadays, would be hood cats. I'm talking about the real deal old school hood cats. I'll be 54 in just a couple of weeks. So the old school real cats, anything that you can imagine them to be able to have done and gone through in the hood, I've gone through it, I've done it all, and I've had it all done to me for the most part. So I'm from the hood. So I'm living, breathing, speaking truth that there's always real hope. Okay? So I want to salute my brothers and sisters who are out there, who are on the forefront of this battle of trying to set good example for this new generation that, quite frankly, a lot of my brothers and sisters feel as though they're just a lost cause. The good book teaches that 1/3 of Jacob / 1/3 of the Hebrew Israelites / 1/3 of our people is going to be cut off. So some of them are just going to be cut off. Now, having said that, I do offer services that involve youth and young adult mentoring and counseling, and it's for all people of all races and gender. But I do certainly put a premium on trying to do more for the hood because that's where I come from. So I do offer services, for youth and young adult mentoring, because even though the good book says that a third of our people will be cut off, I don't think we can close our eyes and say, well, if they're the ones that's doing this, then it's them. I think we still have to go in there and surgically try to influence the brothers and sisters who are in those kinds of situations, but have an opportunity and have a desire to rise above it. So I do offer those services. And again, for my brothers and sisters who are out there on the front line in the trenches, whatever it is, working at the Salvation Army, going up to the school to volunteer time, Little League baseball, cheerleading lessons for the little girls at your house, discounted services for whatever it is that you are doing to keep hope alive, I want to salute you. And I do salute you. I salute you. I celebrate you. I congratulate you, and I commend you, because it's tough. It's tough. I don't know what age you are while you're watching this video, but for those that are at least, I would say 40, 35, maybe even and up, we have seen a dramatic change as it relates to an incredible decline in our culture. They once said that there's no honor amongst thieves, and that was always true to a certain extent. But nowadays, it seems to be true in its entirety. Like when we came up, you had to watch the cats that you was committing certain crimes with. You had to watch them just because you knew what kind of cat they was. But at the end of the day, we weren't quick to just snake each other or cross each other and do some of the little ridiculous stuff that cats nowadays seem to just be willing to do, as if there was, the 20, 30 years, the 20, 30 robberies, the 20, 30 getaways, the 20, 30 fist fights, whatever that they had with their counterpart or with their homeboy didn't even matter, and they'll just flush it down the drain and cross them out for a little female, or cross them out for an opportunity to avoid a jail sentence, or cross them out because they got on drugs or whatever. So it's ridiculous, man. So for those of you who are continuing to be in the trenches and try and help these people, help my people, I commend you guys. Again, I celebrate you guys. I congratulate you guys. And I want you guys to stay encouraged, because it's hard, man. It's hard. It's not easy, man, because these little cats is hard-headed. Some of them appear to have taken a vow of ignorancy, and at all costs, they're just committed to ignorance. And here you are, pouring out the true essence of you to help them, to assist them, to provide them with quality information that could help them along their journey, to help culture them, and just to help nourish them through and through. You're giving it your all. You've seen the challenges that are awaiting them, the places that they are trying so hard to go to. You've went there and made it back several times, so you could tell them exactly how it works, what it takes to get to that level, and what it takes to come back to that level repetitively. And you're doing this for people who, again, appear to be committed to ignorance. Not all of them. There are tons and tons of brothers and sisters who are in certain negative situations and yet refuse to allow that negative situation to get into them. They're determined to rise above it. And for those, I salute and celebrate. But we all know the outcome of the way it can be made to appear if you, being a black man, being a black woman, giving it your all to help these kids lift their grades, to help these kids stop fighting and lower crime, to help these kids have higher self-esteem, to help these kids respect their elders. You're doing everything that you can, and perhaps you have been officially assigned with a certain position or task, or you're just doing it in your block just as you go along. And it's easy for someone to come along and say, well, this guy or this girl has been doing this, and the crime rate still continues to soar. Drugs still continue to be on the uprise. These cats are still in crime and going to school, doing all kinds of foolish things. And that can make you look and appear ineffective. And even though on the surface it may be no positive results that are tangible, it doesn't mean that you are poor, that you are a bad teacher, that you're unsuccessful. Because you could put Einstein, you could put Bill Gates, you could put Franklin Roosevelt, it doesn't matter. You could put anyone who is known to be an incredible leader in a situation where they are responsible for guiding some people who refuse to be guided. And that will make the great Einstein look as though he don't know how to teach. He don't know what he's talking about. So it doesn't mean that you are a bad teacher. Don't second guess yourself. If you're pouring out everything that you can into these kids and they are not making any improvements, you simply make a choice. If you're going to adjust your strategies, your tactics, if you're just going to try some outside of the box remedies or what have you, but you do not doubt yourself. You look at the situation head on and realize that you're basically attempting to re-educate in all different facets of life, basically some knuckleheads who are resisting you at every turn. Doesn't mean you're a bad teacher. Doesn't mean that at all. It means you have poor students. By the same token, you can get some high quality students who are eager to learn, who are thirsty for knowledge, and their teacher can be very mediocre. Very, very mediocre. And those students will rise and make that teacher look incredibly outstanding. And all along, the teacher is just so-so. So it works both ways. And if you know in your heart of hearts that you are giving everything that you can give to these kids and to that community, then again, go within yourself, maybe get some friends, some advice or whatnot on what you can try different. But know at the same time, if you're giving your absolute best, it's not you. It's not you. You're dealing with some people who just refuse to learn. So I encourage you guys. I salute you guys. And that's as real can get, man. I want to talk just very briefly about my brothers and sisters who are still trying to be the best human being that they can be, even though they have encountered hardships, setbacks, failures, bloodshed, loss of loved ones. Some of them have been in and out of prison. Some of them have been off and on drugs and alcohol. Some of them were molested coming up as kids, and yet they find themselves still in a position of trying to be better. That takes an incredible amount of strength. You have to be able to sit down in the midst of your pain, in the midst of your suffering, and take the time out to acknowledge your own strength. Because what you do ain't easy. There are those who are doing things that you may really, really have a passion and desire to do. You ain't doing them, but they're doing them. And they're doing them because they didn't have to necessarily go through anything. You are what we need. Those who have actually experienced these things, not the teachers who went to school and read these books. And I have nothing against the teachers and builders and things of that nature who went to school and learn these things, but what our society needs is people who have actually lived those things and who can actually give something that our society can feel. So even if you haven't lived these things, if you are giving them something that they could feel, and humans are very perceptive, even more so in these days and times, where when you say something, people can feel the sincerity or lack thereof in what you say, in what you do. You can give a person a ride to work every single day, and they can sense and quickly denote if whether or not that's something that you are doing out of love or if it's just something you're doing for other means. Perhaps you just want to look good in the neighborhood. Perhaps you just want to hang that over their head. Perhaps you're trying to get a favor down the road, whatever. People can immediately denote if whether or not what you are doing has any real value to it, any sincere, genuine value to it. So if you have walked a certain life that people in the hood can relate to, or if you have not, if you're giving them something they can feel, they know that. And you know if whether or not you are. If you're saying, okay, guys, I love y'all, have a safe, enjoyable weekend, and it's just words, empty words, and you don't have to say it with no more emphasis. You can say those same words on the same octave with the same straight face, but if it's coming from your heart, people will know. So if you are out there and you are amongst those who are doing something and giving society, our black men and women and children in the hood, something that they can feel, then you're doing your job. You're doing your job. And for those, again, who have gone through the ups and downs, through the rigors of life, and have actually lived some of this torment that they are trying to encourage the younger generations to avoid, I salute you, man. You guys are incredibly strong. Take a moment out to accept and embrace that truth about yourself. Because so many of us would have folded a long time ago. They've been in and out of jail too much. They've been off and on drugs too much. They've been abused too much. They've been in one shootout too many, whatever. And then they decide that it's just meant for them to be there. And yet here you are. You are an incredibly strong person. You are an incredibly strong person, and you need to sometimes take the time out to acknowledge that. It's like my dad, peace and blessings be upon him, used to give an analogy that said, if you're fighting a grizzly bear, or if you're getting mauled by a grizzly bear, you basically have no shot. That grizzly bear is going to have its way with you. But after it have its way with you, if you're alive, if you can stand up and say you ran, you fought, you stabbed, you kicked, you screamed, you took that beating the best way that you could take it, and at the end, you're still left alive and breathing, that's a win for you. No, you didn't win that fight. You didn't win that encounter. But given what you were up against, the hate in society, the drugs, the backgrounds, all this different stuff that's tearing you and shredding you apart like this grizzly bear would, and you're still standing, that's a win for you. You haven't folded. You still have in your heart to be a better person. You still have in your heart to go out and actually try and put forth the work to inspire these kids, to help guide these kids. You are a winner. It doesn't matter what the scoreboard said. You don't judge a person from based on where they are in life. You judge them based on how far they had to travel to get to wherever it is. So if a person is only on notch 1, he could be far greater and stronger and smarter and determined than a person who may be on notch 500. How can that be? Well, this guy's on notch 1, this guy's on notch 500. Because the guy on notch 500 may start on 450 or 475. Meanwhile, the guy that's on notch 1 started from a negative 1500. a negative 3,000. So you judge people and you judge yourself according to how far you've had to travel. Doesn't matter what your finances say. Doesn't matter what your YouTube following says. It doesn't matter what your neighbor says, what your education says. All that matters is how far you had to travel to get there. What you had to go through. What you had to put up with. How many times did you slip and fall? How many times did you bust your head? How many times did you make mistakes? How many times did you fall down and have to get up? All these different things. And acknowledge the strength and beauty that is you. I salute you. I encourage you to salute yourself because it's not easy. It's not easy at all. Some of you guys have been abused as children. Some of my sisters have been abused. Unfortunately, some of my brothers and my sisters have incorporated this as a part of learned behavior because that's all that was did to our ancestors. They were raped and had to be rapists. Oftentimes, when they took that black man to make a baby with that black sister so that they can continue to have more slaves, that sister was not just willing just because he had a whip. That sister fought back. And that black man had to be a literal rapist because if he didn't impregnate her, then he was going to be hung. So oftentimes these traits, these behaviors, these conducts are learned behavior. And yes, they are passed down genetically, just like if your dad was a good basketball player, there's a chance that you're going to be a good basketball player. If your dad was 6'11", there's a chance you're going to be 6'11" or in that area. If your dad, was a painter or artist, you're going to have those type of abilities as well. So the fears and all those things are passed down from generation to generation, just like genetics. Why do you think a lot of black people don't like water? Because it was passed down through us as a part of our heritage that water meant danger. Stay away from that water because you see that water, that's when the white man is on them shores trying to gaffle you up and take you across that water to a land in which you'll never return. So we have an inherent disdain and a bit more apprehension when it comes to water. So, it's important that we know these things, man. Some of you guys have been through all this pain, all this heartache, and we can be honest and admit that, yeah, we've been through a lot of pain and heartache, but boy, we sure did spread our fair share of pain and heartache as well. So some of the pain and heartache that we had to endure, we had to endure it, and it was more than justifiably so, because we hurt others, we disappointed others, we crossed out others, we did certain things that we shouldn't have done. And even though you may not have crossed out your homie and your homie crossed out you, you did do that to that old lady when you broke in her house. So that karma came back just in a different way. So if we're honest, hand on heart, right hand up to the sky, we can realize and we can know that a lot of our pain and suffering was justifiable. But some of you guys have gone through all of this, man, and you're still right here standing. You're still trying to be a better man. You're still trying to be a better woman. You're still trying to raise a family. You don't necessarily have any support. You don't necessarily have the support of even oftentimes our own black women. And oftentimes a black woman don't have the support of her own black men. She's out there. She's raising her kids. She's getting up, going to work, paying babysitters, catching a bus. She's doing all these different things because she doesn't have the support of the black man, and vice versa. This brother's been in and out of penitentiary, can't find a job, trying his best not to go back to the street, and somehow he's donating blood, he's chopping down trees and cleaning up yards here and there. He's doing everything within his power to keep from going back to the penitentiary, but he does not have the support of his black woman and he's still standing. So we have to take the time out in the middle of this pain and suffering that we are going through and realize how strong we are, because it would have tore most people to shreds. They would have been crazy in the loony bin a long time ago. They would have gave up and settled on just being a negative, bad person, totally despondent to the urges to be better and the natural inclining as a human being to be better. They would have just voided out all of that and just decided that, hey, it's too hard. They're just going to be an alcoholic on the corner. They're just going to not ever try to get a job. They're just going to continue to be abusive, whatever their situation is. But you have walked a path that you have been beat down, stomped on, spit on, left for dead, and you're still here trying to raise your family, trying to be the best dad, the best mom that you can, trying to help other black kids in the community, trying to stay encouraged. You are an incredible person, my brothers and sisters who are walking these types of paths, and I salute you. I straight up and down salute you, my brothers and sisters. Keep on going. Keep on going. Don't give up. Do not give up. You let this thing called life take you where it's going to take you. You do your very best. That's why the good book says, the Lord is my shepherd. I shall not want. That means whatever I got, I'm just going to learn to be content with it. Doesn't mean I don't want more. Doesn't mean I'm not aiming to get more, but whatever my Heavenly Father has for me is for me. And something is coming for each and every last one of us as human beings. Not just as black people, but as each and every human being. There's something coming for each and every human being, and it cannot be avoided. Whether there's a wife in your future, there's a husband in your future, if there's a time when you, a car accident, if there's a job opportunity, a promotion, death, whatever it is that's coming for you, it's going to find you. It's going to find you. It cannot avoid you. It cannot avoid you. You cannot make mistakes. You cannot make a bad choice, because what is coming for you is coming for you. If it's meant for you to die in the elevator, getting stuck and crashing, then that's how you're going to die. You could plan to stay off elevators your whole life. That one time when you need to go on the elevator, it's going to come. It's coming for you. The same thing when it goes to promotion. The same thing when it goes to anything else in life. What's coming for you is coming for you. So we need to make sure that each and every day we continue to stay this course. Do not change. Do not get off track. Do not yield. Do not pause. The old saying is, nothing can stop you if you don't stop for nothing. Just keep on going, and don't worry about what your bank account say. Don't worry about the way it appears to your homeboys. Don't worry about the struggles, the social bumps and bruises, the emotional scars. Just keep on going. There's a movie, I don't know if I'm pretty sure most of my black people have watched it. It's the movie Heat with Al Pacino and Robert De Niro. And there's a very poignant scene in there where the black gentleman who got out, you guys know the scene, and he was doing everything he could to stay on the right path. And he made one choice, one opportunity was presented to him, and he got off that path. See, there are such thing called Kairos moment and such thing called a Chronos moment. A Kairos moment is something that it comes around, and if you miss it, it'll come back around. It'll come back around. A Chronos moment is something that it comes once. You're going to see that lady, you're going to see that man, you're going to see her one time at Walmart, and that's the opportunity for you to have a wife and live happily ever after, the wife or the husband of your dream. She's only going to be there once. And if you stand there and don't say anything, or you say something reckless or what have you, and you blow that opportunity, that's it. You'll never see her again a day in your life. The same thing goes for vacations, accidents, avoiding accidents, what have you. There are Kairos moment that comes back around, and then there's Chronos moments that only can happen once. So if we lose focus of what it is that we're sent to do, we don't want to encounter a negative or a less than positive Chronos moment, because what that brother did was he was on track to do his best. He got off of track, and he lost his life in that bank robbery. Now that story is a perfect example. I got a real life story for you guys that I'd like to share just very briefly. The same type of scenario happened to my eldest brother, and that's why the title of my YouTube channel, the name of my YouTube channel, as well as the name of the fitness branch of my ministry, the fitness arm, the fitness branch of my ministry is Mount Fitness MBS. That's MOUNT Fitness, M as in mind, B as in body, S as in spirit. That Mount came from my brother. May peace and blessings be upon him, because he too was an individual who was on a certain path and was doing everything that he could to walk this certain path, and had never been in trouble with the law, worked all his entire days. And me and my other siblings, this was my eldest brother. He is my eldest brother, because we don't separate at death. If that was your mom, she's going to always be your mom. So he decided, because some things were not working out, he needed to make one street move, not a robbery or anything like that, just dealing with some clowns who were supposed to have been a drug deal. And he met up with some clowns, and the clowns decided that they was going to rob him, and my brother resisted being robbed and was killed. A guy who had never didn't live that lifestyle. Didn't live that lifestyle at all. And the original name of my company was called Synergy Fitness, and at the time of that happened to him, I changed the name to Mount Fitness. It stands for motivation, optimism, understanding, nutrition, and training. Again, go to my website at treeoflifeoutreach.com, read the bio, read over the services. At the bottom line of the service page, you'll be able to click on the link that'll take you to Mount Fitness MBS, and that's my website. Get some more information about my brother there. But yeah, so this is why we can't stop, guys. This is why we can't stop, and this is why we must be determined that if there's something coming for me, it's going to happen for me on this path right here. It's going to happen with me doing what I know I'm called to do. I'm not going to get off this path. So if you're in the hood, if you're trying to help these brothers and sisters, if you're having barbecues, yard sales, baseball games, little league soccer, you're trying to coach, you're going to church and giving testimony, whatever your thing is, stay on that course. Don't give up, because it's easy to get discouraged, because you're putting in all of this. It's so important to you. You're so passionate about it. You're putting the realest of you out there for these cats, and essentially they're spitting on it, barking at it, and oftentimes just flat out resisting it. So, but don't get off path. Don't get off path. Stay on your path. That path is for you. Okay? I know what it means to have hopes and dreams broken and shattered. Stay on that path. Stay on that path. Take the blanking. Take the blanking pain. Take it. On the other side of that pain is glory. On the other side of that pain is destiny. There's also a saying that my mom used to say, and I've heard a guy actually said on a video, and it was impressive. You know, they say quality minds think alike, or great minds think alike. What she would always say was that life is a fight. Life is a fight. You have to fight for what you want. You have to fight to get better grades. You have to fight to maintain your self-discipline. You have to fight laziness. You have to fight yourself to go to the gym, to study hard, to work hard, to get where you want. It's a fight. Life is a fight. And if you run away from that fight, you just ran away from your life. So let us embrace this fight. Let us embrace the pain, the bumps, the bruises, the disappointment, and all that it entails. Don't lose faith. Don't lose faith. And I know, to a certain degree, a lot of my brothers and sisters, particularly those who have lived a certain lifestyle and then have committed to being better, and being better hasn't gotten them any better in terms of their rent, in terms of their social standings, in terms of just having basic day-to-day health insurance, savings in the bank. Being a better person hasn't gotten them necessarily better rewards, but being a better person is the reward. It is the reward. So walk this journey. Stay on path with this journey. Don't give up. Keep going. There's been a lot of my brothers and sisters who have turned their back on the streets, and people had knew you as being a certain kind of brother and a certain kind of sister, and you decided that the best thing for you to do was walk away from that life. And now all the people that was living that life with you, sometimes even family members within your own household, they have betrayed you. They have walked out on you. They treat you with contempt and disdain. So I know what that feels like, to be betrayed by family, to be betrayed by friends, to be betrayed by the very community that when you was out there living in that community, you went through and made sure that every time you got a chance to check somebody for coming through there misbehaving and they wasn't from that hood, you checked them. Every time you got a chance to do something in the neighborhood for somebody that was from the neighborhood, you did it. When you couldn't do it, you tried to do it. You was always that kind of person. And now, because you've made these positive changes, you go back there, there's no honor for you. There's no remembrance of you. There's only disdain and vitriol. So I know what it means. I know what it means to go home and feel that from the people, the very people that you loved and raised and nourished. And now you go to your house. Now you go to visit relatives. Now you go just to stroll through the clubs that you once visited, and you see the DJs and some of the same girls working there and in and out of there, and they treat you as if you were their enemy all along. It's not you. It's them. They're fearful of the fact that you continue to dare to believe. And they gave up on themselves a long time ago. So how dare you walk in talking about the Bible or whatever, or talking about there being a better way. We saw you do this. We knew you when you did that, and now you're going to lead us? Yes, I'm going to lead you because I made it through that. But if you won't have me as your leader, then I will take the approach that Christ took and that he recommended that we all take, which if you go to a city and the people do not accept you, dust your shoes off and go to the next city. Keep it moving. But I know that hurt and that pain. So I want to encourage you guys to don't let the betrayal stop you. Don't let what's in your bank account or lack thereof stop you. Don't let the rumors that they said about you stop you. Don't let whatever challenges and obstacles that you may be going through internally and or externally, pardon me guys, don't let that stop you. If you fall down, that don't matter. The only thing that matters is getting up, and getting up as soon as possible. That's all that matters, guys. There is greatness in you. This is why they do all of the blood testing, where know your genealogy, and you can go and have them test your heritage and your lineage to tell you exactly where you come from. They're promoting this, what is heritage.com, whatever the name of it is. They're promoting this primarily to the black and the lower class, what's considered to be lower class individual, because this is where the anointing is given. This is where Christ was born and swallowed. Christ wasn't born as no man on the hill. He wasn't born with a silver spoon in his mouth. He was born basically what was a hood, not basically, what literally was the hood back then. The Buddha had a gold spoon in his mouth when he was born, and he gave it all up and took up the crown or the cross of being homeless, no food, living on the street corner. He gave it all up in the search for this truth that is in you and in me and those like us, so they know where the next prophet, the next seer, the next revolutionist, the next great anything or anybody that could shake up the apple cart, they know, and they know basically when it's going to be. They may not know exactly, but they know basically when it's going to be done. I'd venture to say, according to my own philosophical beliefs and my own philosophical research, they do know exactly where you were born, when the next one's going to be born, what specific location, a specific date and time, because they knew basically all of that when he came to Christ. They didn't know exactly where he was located as far as that particular hut, but he sent out the decree to kill everybody because they knew that the revolutionary, the changer, the Christ was going to be born. And Christ just means the anointed one. So they knew then, and with all the technology, my philosophical beliefs and my philosophical research and study, as well as my mystic research studies and practices, it leads me to believe, and I've been led to believe, that they do know when and where you are going to be born, and they know when and where the next great ones are going to be born. So don't give up. Take time out, take a deep breath, and realize that you have been fighting and wrestling with a grizzly bear that's hungry, that's savage, that's extremely large, powerful, that is relentless. You have been in this fight for all this time. Take a moment out to take a deep breath and acknowledge how strong you must be to still be in the ring with that grizzly bear. You haven't given up on yourself. You may have given up on society as a whole with regards to, man, it's never going to work. They're never going to let me out. But don't fall for that. Don't fall for that. We all encounter those moments, but don't fall for that, because having faith means, it doesn't mean that, oh, everything's going to work out. I got the faith that everything's going to work out. Everybody has that faith, or mostly everybody has that faith. That's not what true faith is all about, in my view. In my view, true faith is saying everything's going to work out and everything's going to be okay. But even if it doesn't work out, everything's still going to be okay. Because whatever is coming for me, it's coming for me. I can't avoid it. I can't get around it. Can't nobody steal it. It can't be lost. It can't get misplaced. It ain't going to arrive one moment too early or one moment too late. And the same thing is true for you and what's coming for you. So just keep chopping away. Keep plowing away at it. Keep on hoping on in faith. And know that if it doesn't work out, then that was a plan for it. It's not that you failed. It's not that your enemies defeated you. It's not that some witch put a hex on you. It's that was your fate. That was your faith that was predestined before the earth was even made. I salute you, my black brothers and sisters. Don't ever give up. You can do anything you want, but don't ever give up. Embrace your calling, even if it doesn't work out the way you envisioned it to, the way you would like for it to, the way you planned it to, the way you hoping it to, even if it doesn't work out that way. Accept your calling. Accept your calling. Keep on keeping on in faith. Keep on hoping on in faith. Accept your duty, whatever your duty is. If you ain't out there helping nobody because of your situation and your circumstances, but your duty to you as an individual at this time is for you to just simply be the best that you can do. At check on camera. Whatever that duty is, helping others, I believe we can all help others, and in due season we will all have the opportunity to help each other, and we have to make the most of those opportunities. But whatever it is that your calling is, accept it. Whatever it is that your duty is, accept it, and accept and embrace your fate. Because the old saying is, a man / a woman, a man must embrace his fate, or he'll be destroyed by it. And unfortunately, this is what has happened time and time again in my neighborhood when people have tried so hard and prepared so hard to accomplish something, and it didn't work out, and then they still end up in that same house, that same financial standing, and they don't accept that. They don't accept that fate. And so they end up turning to drugs, alcohol, domestic abuse, and this and that and that and this, because that fate that they did not accept destroyed them. So accept your fate, because if a man or woman don't accept their fate, they will be destroyed by it. Now, just very briefly, let's talk about the difference between fate and destiny. Fate is something that is coming for you regardless. It can't be avoided. Destiny is what you do with the fate that was issued to you. Two guys, they both fell down. This was way back in the days, way hundreds of years ago. Two guys, they both fell down. They both paralyzed themselves from the waist down. Same fate. One guy took his fate and went and they propped him up in the chair, and he turned to drugs, he turned to alcohol, he got with other people that was paralyzed from waist down, and they shared each other's miseries, and he became very corrupt internally, abusive to his wife, his kids, and just hated his life and his society and everything about him. He became basically an empty shell of himself. The other guy who fell down and broke himself and was paralyzed from the waist down, same fate. He decided that he was going to just, no matter what, he's grateful to still be alive because it could have killed him. So no matter what, he's going to enjoy life the best he could. So instead of him having the fate that the destiny that the other guy had as a result of his fate, this guy decided he was going to enjoy life. He was going to keep on keeping a positive attitude. He was grateful to be alive. He's going to find ways to crawl and to move and do it, whatever he can do with his upper body. And he eventually came up with what we know today as the wheelchair. The first creator, the first inventor of a wheelchair. Same fate, different destiny. So no matter what your fate is, if it's your fate to live in that hood, to live in that unfriendly environment, to live with the circumstances that are current, to live with your finances being whatever they are, if that is your fate, embrace your fate or be destroyed by it. One guy did not accept his fate and he was destroyed by it. The other guy who had the exact same fate accepted his fate and decided that he was going to create his own destiny, even though fate is something that you cannot avoid. It's coming for you regardless. Destiny, you have a say in. Our Heavenly Father has blessed us with that option to have a say in it. And we have a say in what's going on. And I'll close with this, because the gist of this whole 3-part sermon or 3-part video messaging was to encourage all of us to unite as human beings. Not those that are going to be racist no matter what, not those who are going to be hood mentality no matter what, not those who are already trying to bring the races together on the white side, not those who are trying to bring the races together, all of humanity on the black side, not those that are in the middle, because the ones that are in the middle create the true masses. These are the sleeping giants that have to awake. These are what we commonly refer to as average Joes. These are the one that's going to make the difference when it comes to us realizing that we need to open our eyes and realize that there is one enemy that punches us all around. So unless you are one of that less than 1% at the very top of the scale, then when the pandemic hit, you got to go home too. When martial law hits, you got to go home too. When wars hit, your kids got to go to war. It's coming to your back door. They may not go to war as soon as they draft those from the hood, but they got to go to war too. When you get out of line, they're going to lock you up, just like when my people get out of line. They're going to lock them up. You don't have no white privilege. They got you thinking you do. And my black brothers and sisters, you're not less than anybody, even though they got you thinking you are. So the whole apex of this 3-part series was to get all of those who are in the middle bracket to unite together as one. There's only one race, and that's the human race. We all are endowed with a special gift to achieve the goals that our Heavenly Father has predestined for us to achieve. But we have been tricked, we have been lied to, we have been 100% bamboozled into thinking this race is superior, that race is superior, and the constructs and the systems that they have put into place to uphold these myths, to encourage these people that they're better, to discourage these people that they are worse. But when it all comes down, they sent Martha Stewart to jail just like they sent my brothers to jail. They killed JFK just like they killed MLK. They backed the German forces and they backed the Allied forces. This is the way these people do us. The same person that's financing the Republican Party is the same people that's financing the Democratic Party. So it's time for us to open our eyes and realize that, so that we can get past that. Obviously, as my brothers and sisters in the hood, we have to address certain problems that are systemic and exclusive to the hood. We all get that. We have to address that. But we need to address that while taking this holistic approach to solving the problems, and not thinking that the guy across the street, the guy on the other race, the guy that's a part of the other race is the problem. Even though he may be looking at me like I'm the problem, I'm wise enough. We got to get wise enough to know that he's looking at me thinking I'm the problem because he drank the Kool-Aid. The Kool-Aid convinced him that I'm the problem. And guess what? I used to drink that Kool-Aid too. I used to think the white man this and the white man that, and even though they got the white man in those positions who are actually, that we see pulling the strings, the police, the lawmakers, the landlords, all these people, they got them in the positions pulling the strings, but the puppeteer is actually behind the curtain. The puppeteer is actually the less than 1% who, once he's finished with him, he gonna send him to Martha Stewart land, just like he gonna send my brothers to Martha Stewart land. So unless we begin to address our individual and collective problems as whites, as my white brothers and sisters, and then as my black brothers and sisters, and everybody else, my browns, my yellow, we need to build ourselves up, our individual houses up, while simultaneously trying to find ways, trying to find opportunities, trying to create new thought forms, new ways to interact with other like thinking members of the different races, because at the end of the day, this is what we need. We need one another. We always have, dating back to the very, very first beginning of humanity. It's natural for us to need each other, whether it was shelter at night when it got cold, whether it was shelter during the daytime when it was hot. Your people, my people, their people, whoever, when they had a nice cavern place during the summertime when it was scorching out there in the prairies, all was welcome. All races was welcome. They didn't create a fight. They didn't say, go find your own. When it was cold and they found a place to stay warm, all human beings were welcome. When they found food, when it was time to go hunt, they needed everybody on the hunt. We are naturally and organically, at our very heart's core, dependent upon each other. It's no different than the bumblebee being dependent on the flower, and the bird being dependent on the bumblebee, and the cat being dependent on the bird, and so forth and so on. We need each other. So let us dismiss and finally utterly destroy this notion that it's us against them, or it's us, all of us that are human beings, against them that are the less than 1% of the tops, who by all accounts and by all standards and metrics, they are not human beings. Because a human being, no matter what, at one point is going to have compassion, is going to have empathy. Even if somebody did you wrong and you have to go stomp their head into the floor, you're going to stomp their head into the floor, and unless you was in that rage point where you just went too far, you're going to stomp their head into the floor, you're going to exact your revenge, and then you're going to start letting them go. You're not just going to sit there and repeatedly torture them. Even though you might start off with torture, you're going to start that off, you're going to continue that, and if you're a real human being, eventually you're going to start feeling sympathy, compassion, and empathy for that person. These people don't do that. These people don't do that. So by all metrics, they are not even human being in the truest sense, in the truest form and definition of that word. So it is us against them. But it's all of us, all ethnic groups, all races, all genders, all social standings, Republicans and Democrats. Doesn't matter. We got to rise above these petty limitations that they have decided separates us. My white brothers and sisters, they losing their farms, they losing their land. My black brothers and sisters, they getting killed on the street corner by the same guy who we won't focus on, because they put a lot of money, a lot of time, a lot of effort in their plan to keep us focused on each other. So now is a new day, man. To my brothers and my sisters, I salute y'all, I celebrate y'all, especially for those two groups that I mentioned. All of you guys, particularly those that are in the hood, because that is what this video is about. But I love all my black brothers and sisters. For those in the hood, special shout out to, a special salute. And for those who are in the hood that are doing those two things, who are giving these young black brothers and sisters and the community as a whole some love that they can feel. You know how the best way for you to give people real love is through authenticity, through you simply being you. When you operate from the truest point of yourself, then they can't help but to feel your truth. And whether it caresses them or whether it shocks them with 1,000 volts of electricity or burn them to their core, they feel that truth. And love and truth are in the same hand. You can't have one without the other. Without truth, there's no real love. You can never have real love without truth. And that truth stems is and emanates from within you being authentic. If you are amongst that group and you're out there, even if you haven't walked a certain path that these brothers and sisters in the hood can relate to, maybe you did just go to school, maybe you are from a well-to-do family, maybe you did, maybe you've never experienced any of the things that they actually have to experience and overcome, but you're giving them something that they could feel. And when you say have a good weekend, they can feel that. They can feel it when you say, hey, how was your day? Have an incredible day. They can feel that. And they can feel that by you walking in your authenticity and the calling that is on your life. If you're doing that, extra salute out to you. Certainly, and most definitely, an extra salute out to my brothers and sisters who have actually been in the trenches and have walked in those brothers and sisters' shoes, through prison, through drugs, through all various crimes, gun battles, theft, betrayal by family members. You have lived what it is that black people who are in the hood and are determined to, even though they may have to stay in the hood, they're determined to get that hood out of them. They're going to be a better person. You've walked in those shoes. You've suffered it all. Keep going. There's a triple salute for you. I acknowledge all of you guys, and I start every video the same by requesting, in the event that there is a first-time viewer, to visit my website, treeoflifeoutreach.com, and I close every single video with these two truths by which I live my life every single day. The first one is, I don't know all of y'all, but I love all of y'all. I love all of y'all. It doesn't matter to me how Pollyanna it sounds to you, how fake it sounds, how disingenuous, how cliche-ish it sounds. I love all of y'all. And remember, this is that real love. You know, real love is you'll help Jamal, you know, and Keisha. You'll help them do what they need to do in life. But if you catch them stealing out your purse, you're going to get them a different kind of love. That's what real love is. It's about love, it's about sacrifice, and it's also about discipline if you cross a certain line. That's what real love is. So this is that real, holistic love. That's why I have a holistic ministry. So I don't know all of y'all, but I do love each and every last one of y'all. That's the first truth. The other first truth, because it ain't no second with these, the other first truth is, if you feeling bad, then don't buy out. Don't go into this thing that's most common and what, quite frankly, is most easy to do. Don't go out and, if you're feeling bad, try and project that onto somebody else. Try to, what they call, vampire someone else's energy, how to dump your emotional baggage onto them. That's the power of this universe. That's the truth of this universe being utilized against us in reverse. So don't do that. That's what the powers that be, that's another thing that they're counting on. And this is why they came up with words called, you a beast, you know, you a hater. You can't tell somebody, they can tell you strawberry ice cream is their favorite ice cream. You say, man, I don't even like strawberry ice cream. Oh man, you a hater. What? It's ridiculous. Excuse me. But this is why those words have been out there, because words have power. And we got to remember that our Heavenly Father created everything with his words. And then he made us in his image and his likeness. So it only serves to reason that our words too have power. And you have a society of people that's always saying that this person or that person is a beast. You know, that's a monster on that basketball court. You know, man, you're a hater. These words are basically helping influence our society in a negative way. And now it's so easy, it's so convenient for the less learned and weak-minded individuals to, when they're feeling bad, instead of them dealing with it in a positive and constructive way, such as, for example, sometimes you should feel bad. Sometimes I should feel bad. There are things that I didn't accomplish. There are things I let myself down with. There's behavior that I could have improved. There's goals that I may be behind on. Maybe I didn't do something I told somebody I was going to do. Maybe I mistreated somebody. There's times when I should feel bad. There's times when you should feel bad. And what should we do in those situations? In those situations, we should do just that. Feel bad. Take the blank pain and feel bad. And feel bad and learn that lesson. Take the sting of it and learn that lesson, because that's the only way you're going to grow. When you run from that lesson, you don't learn a thing. You just keep on running and avoid that pain. That pain is not there to hurt you per se. It's there to help you. Like lifting weights, when them weights start burning. It's hurting you, but that ain't what it's there for. It's help. It's there to stimulate that muscle to say, hey man, I don't want to feel this no more. I better get stronger. I want to avoid that. And when you get strong and take and bump them weights up, the same process repeats itself. But if you pick up them 20s, 30s, 50s pound dumbbells, as soon as it burns, you put them down. You don't take that you don't take that pain. You just failed. You just missed an opportunity to get better. So take the pain when you know in your heart of hearts you should feel bad for that lady ain't did nothing to you. That was an old lady asked you a simple question. You took off on her like a kite in the summertime. That dude didn't mean nothing when by stepping on your shoes. You took off on him like you was a NASA rocket headed to Mars. You should feel bad about that. And whatever we know we should feel bad about, when it's time for us to feel bad about, we should take that pain, and we should not take the easy route and try to go out and project that onto someone else, because that's for the soft-minded and less learned individuals among us. What we should do instead, and this is how the power of the universe, the power and the actual mechanics of how the universe really works is being utilized against us. That's how it's being utilized against us. Instead, what we need to do, what we should do, in order to become stronger, in order to make the world a better place, is we should take that pain. If we know we deserve to feel that pain, we should take that pain. The good book says there's a time and season for everything. My philosophical views, my philosophical study, research, and practices lead me to believe that it should be 80-20. 80% of the time, you should be building yourself up, shooting for your goals, staying focused. 20% of the time, you should be challenging yourself. You should be getting at yourself about something. I don't care if you got all A's. You should, I want to get all A's all this year, every report card. I don't care what it is. You should be challenging yourself. You should be feeling that you can do better. You should be feeling that sadness, that pain, or whatever that you know you should be feeling 20% of the time. And you should be allowing yourself to feel it. And if you're not naturally feeling it, sometimes you got to go for it. Because if you're just sitting around always satisfied, then how are you going to get to the next level? You get your bench up to 315 and you cool with that, then that's it for you. You're done growing. So no matter how well you're doing, if there's not something that's making you feel bad, then there should be something you should be challenging yourself. Man, I had some free time. I should have went over there and I could have gave a few more dollars at church, whatever the thing is. You should be challenging yourself, because that's the only way growth can happen, through challenges. And 20% of the time, you should be building yourself up. So here's the closing message again about how this universal truth is being utilized against us when we feel bad, and we, number one, don't embrace that badness and then move on from it. Learn the lessons that are the gems that are hidden in that sense, or that of wrongdoing or badness, or that we should feel. When we don't embrace that and then grow from it and move on, or we simply just get up and take the route to go project it onto someone else. That's for weaklings. I think you've watched this video for over an hour. You're not a weakling. So here's what you do. Here's what I do. When I'm feeling bad, If it's at 20%, I absorb it, lesson learned, commit to being better the next time in that situation. Focus on that situation. For the next time it arises, I'm going to be able to constantly say to myself, here's one of those moments. Now, sometimes we slip, but it doesn't matter how many times you slip, doesn't matter how many times you fall. All that matters is how many times you get back up. Because if you get back up every time you fall, you're going to end up on your feet. So that's all that matters. When you are feeling bad, either absorb that 20 minutes, move on from it. If sometimes there are instances when just because of the negativity in the air, the negative energies around us, the good book teaches that we battle not against flesh and bone, but of evil spirits and dark principalities in high places. That's talking about the air. So there's evil spirits going to and fro, again quoting the good book, going to and fro in the land, seeking whom it can devour. So it's always negative energy, particularly in these times, which is most commonly referred to as the last and evil days. There's always energy flowing around that's seeking to attach itself to any and all unsuspecting people. So you wake up, you're in a good mood, absolutely nothing has happened. You got no worries, you wasn't fearful about nothing, you're just in a great mood. And then all of a sudden you just notice you're not feeling so positive anymore. Matter of fact, you're feeling negative. What's that all about? You ain't worried about nothing. Nothing's frightening you. Your body feels good. You feel good. But all of a sudden, you just don't feel good. In those situations, you don't sit around and wallow in that 20 minutes for something when you know it's unjustifiably so. You recognize the fact that there is powers at work both inside and beyond. Both inside the frame of time and both outside of the frame of time. It's a universal thing going on. Inside and outside of time. Inside and outside of what we call distance. And when you realize you're in one of those moments, or again, one of the previously stated moments where you spent that 20%, either way, when you take that pain and you get up, or you realize that pain is not yours and that suffering is not yours to begin with, you get up, you go out. When you're feeling bad, you go make somebody else feel good, and I guarantee you, you'll feel better a lot faster than that. The moment you make them feel better, boom, you're going to feel better. That's just the way this thing works, guys. Again, the powers that be know this. They got us utilizing this truth in reverse. Now, if you're already feeling good and you go out and make somebody feel good, if you're already feeling good, you go make somebody who's feeling bad feel good, then you're going to go from feeling good to feeling phenomenal. Again, that's just the way this thing works, guys. Don't take my word for it. If you take my word for it, then shame on you. You should always do your own critical research, initiate your own critical in-depth investigation, analysis, and what have you, and reach your own critical decision based on the fact that you are created to be your own critical thinker. Don't take my word on it, but I just challenge you to try it. And it ain't got to be no superficial, phony, make somebody feel good, and it ain't got to be to no jerk that you know ain't going to appreciate it in the first place. The Heavenly Father will guide you to a situation, to a circumstance, to a person where sometimes it just may be a smile, and you're going to feel, wow, that made their day. And boom, there you go, feeling good. A lot faster than right away, and a lot more immediately than instantaneously. That's just how this thing works, guys. So again, check out the website, leave a comment, hit the like button, subscribe. I am Minister Cepeda, and I will holler back. Thanks, guys.